Hey. So, oh man. Okay, so, you guys know we have this is my new favorite bottle. I chilled it in the freezer for a while, and sorry. Arby and Preach made a video where they were responding to, it was like a recording, I guess, that some guy made on a first date of basically a girl, and she's asking the guy like how much money he makes because she doesn't want to date broke guys, and they are meeting at an Applebee's. So the date, so there are two people, guy and a girl, they are on a date at Applebee's. Okay, I'm gonna let you go and watch Arby and Preach's video if you want to hear what they have to say. I'm just going to give my own 2 cents here. If you don't know how much money someone makes before you go on the date, then don't go on the date kind of like expecting to find out. Like, how can you put this? They're like social indicators, and really like there's just society. I don't know how else to say it. Like, we're not talking about celebrities, we're not talking about athletes, and we're not talking about poor people like crackheads or anything. We're talking about the middle class. So these are people with jobs. So I don't know. I guess a lot of you just did not grow up. It's very clear that whoever this girl is, she didn't grow up middle class, or like something about society like she doesn't understand. I think it's fascinating to see it, because I always see people, well, not I always see people do this, but I'll just explain to you guys how I learned about social class. So when I was small, I think I got my first, well, when I was small, I spent a lot of time with my godfather, he's like a real estate mogul. He owns like quite a lot of property in the Bay Area. I've made other videos about my godfather, but I would just kind of sit with him as he just like balanced his books on shit. So it was just, I was just watching like an adult in the world who owned a business, who was like, counting money, like, and obviously when I was small, my parents gave me like an allowance. So I would do chores during the week, and then at the end of the week, I would get like $40 or something. So my allowance started when I was like 5, I think, and it just went, it became more and more and more right as I got older. And then once I turned 15, my mom was like, okay, there's no more allowance. Now you have all these skills, right? Because I was doing like household chores. That's where I would get the money from. She's like, go out and get a job. So then I got my first job at Macy's, and I had my own paycheck, and I was able to like walk around the store and like use the money for really whatever I wanted to use the money for. Sometimes I would buy purses, other times I would so I worked in the men's fragrance department. That was my first job like ever. But other times I'd buy like, perfume or stockings, or I don't know, like I just buy anything I wanted, like just anything I wanted, I would just go buy it. Anyway, so then when I was like in elementary school, that's when my godfather bought me my first game of Life. Like there's a board game. The game is called Life. It's not like, so there are 2 board games that I think are pretty important to play. One is Life and the other is Monopoly. Monopoly teaches you about capitalism. Like Monopoly is by far my favorite board game. It just basically teaches you about how to like, you want to own a piece of the board of all the same color. It's kind of like, I feel like Diddy understands Monopoly in a very good way, because he just like owns hip hop. Like everything that, like if you think of like hip hop, he owns like everything around it. He's got the drink, he's got the clothes, he's got the music, he's got the style, he's got the white parties. It's just like all the things. It's just like, oh wow, like he is hip hop, right? So in terms of like hip hop, I feel like Diddy's got a monopoly. And even if you think about like all the artists that have come under him, so many, right? And this is why I feel like his newest video with the Gotta Move On, it's just very symbolic of like his monopoly sort of aesthetic. He's kind of like Jeff Bezos of like hip hop. You know how like Amazon ate the worlds, like Diddy ate hip hop. It's kind of like that, like that. Yeah, he's like, anyway. But the game of life is not about monopoly where it's owning everything. It's about you understanding what it's like to be in the middle class. And that's basically how it explains how, like, every time you go around the board, that's kind of reminiscent of like a pay period, right? And then you get a paycheck. And so the way that it works is you draw these cards, and then the cards will say, will help you pick an occupation. So you could be like a neurosurgeon, and your salary would be like $300,000. It tells you on the card, like, you know, per occupation. So you could be like a lawyer, you could be like a police officer, you could be a nurse, you could be a prosecutor, I don't know, just name some careers, right? So like very early, this was like in elementary school, I think that's how most people start to learn about what, like, different things you can be in the world. And all these things happen, like sometimes you land on a space and you have to pay taxes. A year goes by and you get married, you have a child, you buy a house, and then every time you cross the board, you get your certain salary. But obviously, like, some of them are like really popular, like the surgeons, you know, they always make like the most money. Like the plastic surgeon, I think, is like, they make like the most money out of any of the cards on the board. So the more times that you play the game, you'll probably try to get the surgeon, because you want more money, because you can like buy more shit as you go across the board. That's actually how it works in life, right? So you'll also see, though, there are people who picked other careers, like the police officer. Like, police officers don't actually make that much money. Or you'll see, like, the postman or something. Like, they don't really make much money. So as they go around the board and they try to buy shit, they actually can't do it, because, like, they don't have as much money. So then you just kind of get to see, this is the game of life, right? But it's like the way this girl was talking about the guy, she's like asking him, how much money do you make? Like, how did you not tell this by just, first of all, like, where did you meet this guy? Like, you know, like, where did you meet him? Like, when you meet someone new, don't you just literally like go online and look them up? Or like, let's like, also, I don't know, people are like doing their job. Like, adults should be all day doing their jobs, right? Like, all day they're just doing their job. So yeah, like, if you don't know how much a policeman makes, go look it up. If you don't know how much like a teacher makes, just go look it up. You can look up these salaries. You can look up the jobs that people are doing in society. They're like job postings for this, and that's where things like the census come in, and they have this aggregate data. There's like websites like Glassdoor that will just tell you, like, for this career, this is how much the average amount of money that you're making. If you want to pick pretty like middle of the lane, safe sort of careers, go be like, what is it? One of those old people nurses. Like, go get your like BSN in nursing, but then go be the type of nurse who works with like super old people. Or you could be like a NICU nurse for like sick babies and just sit in the NICU all day. Or like an OBGYN nurse where you just like help deliver babies. You're gonna make like, I don't know, at least $80,000 or $90,000 a year and live pretty comfortably. That's a very comfortable, safe sort of career path. Or something like teachers, like elementary school teachers don't really make very much money. You make more like $50,000 a year, and that's, you basically are living, if you're one person, I mean, you are technically living in poverty, kind of, because you need like $70,000 a year to be like in a good place. But you're not like that far below the poverty line. Like, you can still pay your bills. You're just like, you have like just enough money to pay your bills, like just enough. Yeah, you got just enough money to pay your bills. And really, like, that's all you need. Like, how, you know, I don't know. This girl just seems kind of delusional. Like, she's never played the game of life. But also, let's talk about the guy who's going to, I don't even know the name of the restaurant. I forgot. I don't eat places like that. I don't know. But he takes her to this basically, like, restaurant. I think it's kind of like Wendy's. Like, that's the one that he took her to. And it's a pretty nasty restaurant. It's like, straight up, it's kind of like a gross restaurant. So, right, doesn't have any like Michelin stars. You know, nobody's reviewing this motherfucker on Yelp. Like, it's not. If you're into fine dining or if you're like a foodie, like nobody's going there, bro. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it's just nobody's going there. And he took her there. But also, it's not just like let's be clear here. Like, she showed up to this whack ass restaurant. Like, I don't know. First of all, like, if a dude is, if I'm going out on a date with a dude to a restaurant, oh God, like, I'm picking the restaurant every time. Like, or send me like an open table request, like, you know, where there needs to be a reservation. Like, how are we going to get a table without a reservation? Unless he like knows the chef or something, but most likely like he doesn't. So, open table, ladies, like, you don't need an open table you don't need an open table reservation to go to Wendy's. Like, it don't work like that. Okay. So, I mean, she was like saying all this shit. She's like, I'm high class, I don't know, whatever words you use. Everybody wants to talk about high value. If you are high value, you actually don't need to say that shit. It doesn't really require an explanation or like a ticket. That shit's for like retards. It would almost be like, if, I don't know, if I were to be like, I am, you know, you can't even have this conversation. I'm going to have it just because I can only, let me just speak for me. Like, I am a pretty woman. Like, if you can't see that, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't have more information, right? I can't, if you don't see it, that's on you, and that's not my problem. But, like, it doesn't need to be explained. You know what I'm saying? Like, or if I were to be like, this is my wine key, you know, like, it's a wine key. Like, people who know what a wine key is, I guess it's really hard because I've seen a lot of retards in society, and y'all see these niggas on TikTok, like, he'd be like, is water wet, bro? I don't know. Like, nobody can really tell. Like, shit that you think is like, you should know this. Like, they really don't. And so I don't even judge anymore. The point is, like, she wasn't checking on open table for the reservation. Clearly she doesn't even know about reservations because, like, you know, it didn't really sound like this nigga's like trying to surprise her with dinner. Also, when you pulled up to the restaurant, you could have just been like, oh, I don't eat this. Or just not order anything. Like, if you don't eat at the food that's offered at the restaurant, like, bro, you don't have to eat it. But also, I feel like there's some reason that she took the date with this dude. So she liked something about him. Like, I don't know where she met this guy. Something about this guy she liked. Like, it seems like something about his personality. Like, most likely he's just like a nice guy. Like, personally, I'm not gonna like not go on a date with a nice guy if I want to go on a date. Like, if you're a nice guy, I will go out on a date with you. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be like extremely rich or anything. But also, like, let's just be clear, it does require some like planning for a date. Like, you know, like a lot of guys just don't, just, there's so many different type of women, right? And there's so many different types of food. So, you know, like, how do you guys get to know people? Don't you start to ask about, like, oh, what's your favorite type of food? Oh, what's your favorite restaurant? Okay, let's go there. Like, basically all the dates that I've gone on, that's how it's gone. They just start to ask you about your interests, and then they try to do shit that, like, matches the things that you're interested in. So clearly she didn't do any of that with this guy because he didn't even know that, like, she didn't like that restaurant or that style of food. So then she needs to do a better job of, like, informing people that she would like to date about who she is before she just, like, goes out with them. Some things are so confusing. I don't understand. I don't know. I really feel like, I kind of feel like it was an L for everyone because there was a mismatch. Also, I just think that she needs to go, and I continue to say this for, like, all women. Like, I think women, you should date yourself for a minute, you know, like, so that she can establish some things that she likes. Because I feel like she's just quoting shit off of the internet, right? Like, everyone's talking about, like, high value this and high value that and beauty this and beauty that. And then you live in the world of like, a guy might have a BMW and like live in his basement, in his parents' basement, like legitimately, right? And then another guy has a bicycle, but he earns $300,000 a year and wears the same clothes every day. So like, there's not like indicators of wealth. You actually might need to get to know a person to like understand who they are, to understand if you would like them or not. The only way you're gonna do that is by talking to people. Like, you're gonna have to talk to them, because like looks can be deceiving. Like, yeah, y'all see, I wear the same shit like every day. I have like monotone colors and slippers, flip flops. So like, I don't know. You decide for yourself who's wealthy and who's not, and what is wealth and what is not. I thought it was just very funny though that both Abra and Preach called this bitch ratchet. Like, also, to me, all I saw was like her arm and her nails. To me, she looked like a standard hood Mexican chick. Like, she looked like a chola. I'm not sure. All I saw was like her arm. Like, she had the fat arms, the lumpy neck, and the like nails. And I was like, chola. Like, I mean, I feel like you probably should have took her to a burrito shop and she would have been like perfectly happy. I don't know. And then she was saying some other stuff about like dating to marry. That sounds like a nice conservative principle to follow, but like dating to marry should, like, if it sounds like she's using the wrong terms. Like, I think she should say what she wants. She wants to date for money. And she wants to date wealthy men. That's a thing. Like, there are many women who believe that and who believe in that. I've said this on my channel multiple times. There are many women in my family who have only dated for money. I just, growing up watching that shit, I despise it. Like, I think that those women are ridiculous. Like, I honestly think that you will live a much more meaningful life by just working. And I'm not saying you have to kill yourself and like, you know, go get a tech job and work 50 million hours a week and shit and die. Like, I'm not advocating for that, but I'm just saying, like, go be a teacher or go be a nurse or go be a doctor if you want. Like, just, if what she wants is wealth, I don't know. Like, she seemed pretty young. She has her whole life to just go get money for herself, and what she wants is money. And then she can use her money to like go to all the restaurants that she wants. Like, it's actually not that hard. Like, all the time that a lot of these women spend chasing guys, you could just chase a dream and make it a reality. Like, she has the same potential to earn however much money these guys earn. The other thing too, I just want to be clear here. Like, maybe other people like this woman should start to watch shows like Bridgerton, The Crown, really shows that are about like the elite, about the monarchy, right? Like, no like super wealthy person is gonna marry like just some basic ass chola chick off the street who doesn't even know anything about social class and is like in Arby's or something like that. There's no, and I also want to say this. So, and I put in the other video, I'll link it in the description box, but I put so there was like some algorithm or something that some plastic surgeon or mathematician, I don't know, there's a couple different written stories about this, but they use some algorithm to determine like the 10 most beautiful women. Like, most of the women I agree with, like some I'm just kind of like, but you know, everyone on there is pretty. I'll say that. Like, they didn't, like, some of the lists now are weird and they put like ugly women on the list, so there weren't any ugly women on the list, so I can at least get behind that. But then they put like Zendaya higher than Beyonce, which I think that's ridiculous. Or she's even higher than like Bella Hadid, even Taylor Swift. It was just like, yeah, this isn't correct. Like, Zendaya's cute, but she's not, to me, she's just not that pretty. But you know what, whatever, to each his own. Where was I going with this? Oh, I think this is why you kind of just have to, I would encourage you to just kind of put your beauty politics behind you in a sense, because like most women are like, they have some pretty, right? There's like levels to the pretty and like the most beautiful and stuff, but like women are pretty. Women have beauty. Like, that's what, like, women, you know, you can use makeup to like enhance your beauty, but like there's pretty women, right? And most men are going to marry someone who they are like compatible with. Most women are going to marry someone who they're compatible with. Most people are going to marry someone who they're compatible with, like despite their relative level of wealth. Okay, like earning $100,000 a year is actually not that hard. You simply have to gain a skill and use that skill in society. And it takes years and years and years to build a skill. I would say, honestly, it takes about 10 years, which is the time to go through grad school, undergrad, a master's program, and a PhD. If you get through that, making $100,000 a year as a researcher, just like at that point, you're a data scientist, okay? Like if you've done 10 years of research, you're a fucking data scientist. Go take a Coursera class, just one, that will teach you how to parse some fucking data, but you know all the other stuff. You know how to create experiments, you know how to think, you know how to validate ideas, you know how to do some user research. Like that is what research is. That's what data scientists do. Really smart people make really great data scientists. So whatever you study, if it's like psychology or physics or geography or whatever social science, you would make a really great data scientist, and it doesn't really take very long to like build those skills. I was going somewhere with this. Oh yeah, so when people are thinking about like pairing up in society and like who they pick, compatibility is just a really important thing. And I think like in this case, this woman is like overvaluing her beauty, right? Like, and this is another real problem I have with like poverty, honestly. A lot of people that like in the Black community, for instance, like we saw these lists, right? This is like these international lists about like the most beautiful women. It has nothing to do with skin color. And like hair texture, which are things that are like prided in the Black community. It's very strange. Like you'll have very ugly women, like they're just like so busted, like they'll have like all of this acne, they'll have these like awful noses, they'll just have like really ugly lips, all these like just, and they'll just be like, well, I am yellow. Like someone like Coi Leray, I'm sorry, to me like she's very unattractive. Or even the new girl, whatever the newest girl that Drake was dating, she's like the one with the afro. Like just because I like afros too, but I don't think that girl is very pretty at all. But you know, whatever. Like everyone has their own opinion about what is attractive, but a lot of people like those women. A lot of people follow them, and like I can't describe it. Like this woman, she's like sitting there with like her chola nails and her fatness, and she's just like, I am high value, as she sits in like an Arby's. We don't all live in the same world. This high value woman at Arby's, she dragged her fat ass in there herself. Like nobody forced her to come. Like, when she saw the sign above the door, she could have been like, no, I'm not going in. But did she say that? No. She walked right in. She sat down and ate the meal. I'm just saying, I think it's funny. Like, everyone is kind of making choices, right? Like, yeah, last year was so interesting to me. It was like the whole thing was like a really good social experiment, because like I was going through so much. So all I kept doing was like humanizing myself by talking to people who I knew these people were like not a part of like any world that I would be in for very long, but you know, they're just people you come across in like society. We'll call it society, but like, man, the nigger logic is incredible. Like they'll say all type of shit, and you'll just be like, this doesn't even make any sense at all. Like they'll be like really broke and busted and just like all the things, and they'll still be like, but I'm a good person, or like I'm this or I'm that, or like I'm a flying saucer, and you'll just be like, yes. You're everything that you wanted to be. There's just so much, like so much trauma, so much violence, so much delusion. Man, what does it say? And I guess, you know, the deeper I'm getting into actually being a part of the literacy community, I mean, I would say I was a part of it before, but there's a real difference when you can actually pair theory to a real human and not like just read it in a paper or a book. And so many people keep telling me about like how awful like Oakland Unified School Districts are, and I've known they were awful. Like I've never gone. I went to OSA when it was like new, but it was like a charter school based on dance. And even when I realized like I don't want to dance anymore, academically the school was like complete trash. Like it was so awful. And even really when I think about it, like artistically, it wasn't very good either. Maybe it's gotten better. I really don't know. But academically, oh my God, it was fucking awful. And all the other schools seem to be like awful as well. And then I was talking to other people who'd like worked in the district before, and they were telling me why. It's basically because of all the poverty. So like a lot of the schools are coming from areas of high poverty. So there's just like the students are coming from broken families with all of these like problems at home. So students are coming to school with all of these like behavior issues and all these like social issues, right? So then they hit the classroom with all this like other shit, you know, they're dealing with homelessness, they're dealing with food insecurity, they're dealing with violence, they're dealing with all this shit. Then they come in the classroom, and so they're like actually not ready to learn. Like being ready to learn is like a thing. Like you have to have like all these other things like going well in your life before you're like in a place where you're like ready to learn. Like being ready to learn is a thing, and not everyone is ready to learn. I just said that like 4 times, but I want to like really reiterate that. And I feel like the girl in that video probably came from a community very similar to that. And so she didn't have like exposure to a variety of like social classes and a multicultural community, you know, people who like look very different. I will say this though, wealthy people value beauty, aesthetics. So like a list like the one that just came out that is, you know, describing beautiful people. And then also just, I don't know, man, like the way you grow up in social class is like a really important thing. Cause like, bitch, you walked into this Arby's. Like, how did you not know that this is not fine dining? Like, there's no Michelin star on a fucking Arby's. Like, it isn't a thing. But like, don't get me, I thought it was hella funny. Like, I laughed so hard watching Preach talk about like, yeah, but if you take me to Chick-fil-A, you can have my heart. My nigga, yes. Chick-fil-A and that fucking sauce, those fucking fries. Bro, like Chick-fil-A has my heart. I'm sorry, Chick-fil-A could kill like 4 trans people tomorrow. I'm still coming back for the nuggets. Like, I'm sorry. I wasn't gonna boycott that motherfucker ever. I don't know how many times when I was in Menlo Park, I went through that drive-through. Like, I put it on my Google Calendar, bro. It's like on the drive home. I was getting like 4 nuggets. Like, Chick-fil-A could like burn a whole. Chick-fil-A could do quite a lot, and I would still. I think I'm a rewards member. Like, I feel like I still get emails. Like, there's no Chick-fil-A in like Berkeley or Oakland, but there's definitely one in like Fremont, and there's one in I think the Fremont one might be the closest. But bro, Chick-fil-A, yes. Or really, I mean, you know, I think it takes me to In-N-Out. This is what I'm saying, and I personally do this. Like, this is why I don't smash. Like, if I'm gonna have a smash and pass session, or if I'm gonna have like a little hookup fling with anybody, like, I'm not taking you seriously. Like, you are extra disposable to me. Like, I don't know. I don't see people like that. Like I know the only person I feel like I probably would have taken a serious relationship with and been like, damn, was Matt. And y'all saw me like talking about Matt. I literally like quit a whole job. You know what? We already talked about Matt. Matt is from a different lifetime, right? A lifetime ago, when I was a young lady in the world, there was a sexy nigga named Matt. I quit jobs for him. We went to Africa. We had a time. We didn't really have a time. He totally had a girlfriend. But, very sexy dude. I don't even know what more to say about that. Matt is me and Matt would have made some supermodel children. But, you know, at this point, my vagina's so closed and I have surgically removed my uterus. So that is not, I am asexual. So if anybody's kind of wondering where my position on males or sex or anything like that lies, it actually doesn't really cross my mind. I just have other passions: food, wine, film, writing, music. I also feel like in my life I've had some great sex. I've dated some pretty hot dudes. I've had a really good dating life, I've got to say. I'm happy with all the decisions that I made, and all of it. Like I'm happy. I think like if I would date D. I don't know if he's really married. I'm not sure if he was actually just making fun of me. I fucking don't know. But like, I would date D. D is very cute. D is definitely my type. If he were like darker, I would like him more. Like in terms of like face, I like really like mahogany chocolate guys. There's just something. Oh, I swear to God, like I feel like I'm programmed to like. I'm not gonna say this on camera. We'll just leave it. Go watch some of my other videos if you want to know how I feel about some people or things. Whatever. I've said this already. Yes, but I like D in terms of his height. If you have not seen his body, you should go take a look. Damn, that man is very sexy. Like, you could have some great sex with D. Like, that's crazy. Like, he's like, damn. Man. Wow. Like, wow. It's a whole hunk of man meat, and that it's beautiful, man. It's like, or like Idris Elba, like, damn. Yeah, wow. Okay. Glad we chatted about that.